Behold, the beauty that is Indonesia, Mother Nature's gift of serene and colorful landscapes, where diversity makes us one, united towards a common goal, where resiliency is achieved together. A strong infrastructure governance arising, where investments are waiting to flourish, and where creativity is inspired by tradition. Indonesia, where beautiful possibilities are offered.
Indonesia, a land of breathtaking nature and rich culture. There are many things Indonesians are proud of. One-of-a-kind photogenic spots spread all over the nation, unique wildlife, magnificent cultural heritage, and the most recent one, the G20 presidency. Indonesia is proud to hold the 2022 G20 presidency. As a multilateral forum connecting the world's major economies, the G20 holds a strategic role in securing global economic growth and stability. Together, the G20 members represent more than 80% of world GDP, 75% of international trade, and 60% of the world population. And 2022 is the year that Indonesia plays a major role in leading the G20 discussions on various global issues. Not an easy task amid a global pandemic that still continues after more than 2 years. Holding the presidency in this unique moment where countries are struggling to bounce back from COVID-19, Indonesia introduces Recover Together, Recover Stronger as the main theme of its presidency. As a step toward an even, sustainable recovery, 6 priority agendas are introduced in the finance track. Exit strategy to support recovery, addressing scarring effect to secure future growth, payment systems in the digital era, sustainable finance, digital financial inclusion, and international taxation. Through these agendas, the Indonesian presidency aims to engage all G20 members and invitees in discussions and deliberations that goes beyond just the interest of advanced economies. Considerations also need to be put for other countries that may still be struggling to manage the pandemic. Because coming out of the pandemic, no one should be left behind. Recover together, recover stronger.
Behold, the beauty that is Indonesia, Mother Nature's gift of serene and colorful landscapes, where diversity makes us one, united towards a common goal, where resiliency is achieved together. A strong infrastructure governance arising, where investments are waiting to flourish, and where creativity is inspired by tradition. Indonesia, where beautiful possibilities are offered.
Indonesia, a land of breathtaking nature and rich culture. There are many things Indonesians are proud of. One-of-a-kind photogenic spots spread all over the nation, unique wildlife, magnificent cultural heritage, and the most recent one, the G20 presidency. Indonesia is proud to hold the 2022 G20 presidency. As a multilateral forum connecting the world's major economies, the G20 holds a strategic role in securing global economic growth and stability. Together, The G20 members represent more than 80% of world GDP, 75% of international trade, and 60% of the world population. And 2022 is the year that Indonesia plays a major role in leading the G20 discussions on various global issues. Not an easy task amid a global pandemic that still continues after more than 2 years. Holding the presidency in this unique moment where countries are struggling to bounce back from COVID-19, Indonesia introduces Recover Together, Recover Stronger as the main theme of its presidency. As a step toward an even, sustainable recovery, 6 priority agendas are introduced in the finance track. Exit strategy to support recovery, addressing scarring effect to secure future growth, payment systems in the digital era, sustainable finance, digital financial inclusion, and international taxation. Through these agendas, the Indonesian presidency aims to engage all G20 members and invitees in discussions and deliberations that goes beyond just the interest of advanced economies. Considerations also need to be put for other countries that may still be struggling to manage the pandemic. Because coming out of the pandemic, no one should be left behind. Recover together, recover stronger.
Behold, the beauty that is Indonesia, Mother Nature's gift of serene and colorful landscapes, where diversity makes us one, united towards a common goal, where resiliency is achieved together. A strong infrastructure governance arising, where investments are waiting to flourish, and where creativity is inspired by tradition. Indonesia, where beautiful possibilities are offered.
Indonesia, a land of breathtaking nature and rich culture. There are many things Indonesians are proud of. One-of-a-kind photogenic spots spread all over the nation, unique wildlife, magnificent cultural heritage, and the most recent one, the G20 presidency. Indonesia is proud to hold the 2022 G20 presidency. As a multilateral forum connecting the world's major economies, the G20 holds a strategic role in securing global economic growth and stability. Together, the G20 members represent more than 80% of world GDP, 75% of international trade, and 60% of the world population. And 2022 is the year that Indonesia plays a major role in leading the G20 discussions on various global issues. Not an easy task amid a global pandemic that still continues after more than 2 years. Holding the presidency in this unique moment where countries are struggling to bounce back from COVID-19, Indonesia introduces Recover Together, Recover Stronger as the main theme of its presidency. As a step toward an even, sustainable recovery, 6 priority agendas are introduced in the finance track. Exit strategy to support recovery, addressing scarring effect to secure future growth, payment systems in the digital era, sustainable finance, digital financial inclusion, and international taxation. Through these agendas, the Indonesian presidency aims to engage all G20 members and invitees in discussions and deliberations that goes beyond just the interest of advanced economies. Considerations also need to be put for other countries that may still be struggling to manage the pandemic. Because coming out of the pandemic, no one should be left behind. Recover together, recover stronger.
Behold, the beauty that is Indonesia, Mother Nature's gift of serene and colorful landscapes, where diversity makes us one, united towards a common goal, where resiliency is achieved together. A strong infrastructure governance arising, where investments are waiting to flourish, and where creativity is inspired by tradition. Indonesia, where beautiful...
Digitalisasi, inovasi, disrupsi, baik global dan nasional, merupakan bagian dari perubahan. Namun, apakah perubahan harus menjadi alasan bagi kita untuk berhenti? Tidak. Menyambut mitra Indonesia dalam menghadapi perubahan, BI Fast. Sebagai sistem fast payment terbaru dari Bank Indonesia, BI Fast siap melayani kebutuhan masyarakat terhadap pelayanan transaksi digital yang lengkap, real time, terjangkau, 24/7, aman, dengan menggunakan nomor handphone atau email sebagai alternatif nomor rekening, cepat, kapanpun, dimanapun, seketika, terjamin. Didukung oleh teknologi handal, keamanan ketat, dan harga yang terjangkau. Dimulai dari individual credit transfer pada Desember 2021, dilanjutkan bulk credit, direct debit, dan request for payment pada tahapan berikutnya. BI Fast akan meningkatkan inovasi dan inklusivitas terhadap perkembangan ekonomi di seluruh pelosok Indonesia dengan memastikan terjadinya sinergi dengan industri sistem pembayaran. Perubahan akan selalu terjadi. Disrupsi tidak dapat terhentikan. Namun sebagai rakyat Indonesia, kita akan terus bangkit dan menghadapi semua tantangan dengan berani. Bersama menuju satu Indonesia yang maju dan sejahtera. BI Fast, sepanjang waktu, seketika.
Digitalization has brought about changes in all walks of life, including the way we transact and make payments. All providers innovate to offer integrated, interconnected, and interoperable services. In this case, the role of regulators is very important to ensure that the payment systems run safely and efficiently for all users. Bank Indonesia also supports the integration of the economy and financial digitalization, particularly in the payment system, by implementing the Indonesian Standard Quick Response Code, or KRIS, since January 2020. KRIS is a QR code standard for payment in Indonesia that connects all payment system providers. KRIS can link to various banking and non-banking funds such as deposits, electronic money, debit cards, and credit cards. KRIS can be used through various payment and mobile banking applications, enabling people to make contactless and digital payments from various payment system providers. Merchants will instantly receive transaction notification and receive the funds in their account. With all the benefits, KRIS is used by more than 15 million merchants, from micro businesses to large enterprises. Bank Indonesia, Payment System Association, and payment system providers continuously develop KRIS features: KRIS Consumer Presented Mode, KRIS Transfer, Withdrawal, Deposit, and KRIS Without Presence. Kris Cross-Border enables interconnection between two countries to make payments using mobile banking applications from their respective providers. This is possible through cooperation between central banks, associations, and payment system providers. Switching operators between two countries enables the connectivity, and transaction settlements will utilize the Local Currency Settlement, or LCS, framework. QR cross-border will make it easier for both countries, especially those with high trade and tourism activity. Kris Digital Payment also promotes financial inclusion. Kris supports small or traditional merchants to adopt digital technology and enter into the financial system. With profile and recorded transactions, merchants will find it easier to apply financing. In the future, we will continue to push the users of Kris massively, developing Kris features, including expanding QR cross-border cooperation with other countries in the region.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, dan salam kebajikan. It's an honor for me, Dazen Frila, to host you all today on the third day of FECTI 2022. This event emphasizes inclusive and sustainable economic activities, and today we start off with a leader insight from Bank Indonesia and 2 sessions of casual talks. The first one is about acceleration of digital innovation through the implementation of payment integration, and the second one will be about digital payment initiative to support sustainable economy. And ladies and gentlemen, before we start our inspiring event, allow me to greet our honored guest, Her Excellency Ibu Aida S. Budiman, Deputy Governor Bank Indonesia. Thank you for coming, ma'am. Head of Payment System Policy Department, Bank Indonesia, Ibu Filianingsih Hendarta. Chairman of Indonesia Payment System Association, ASPI, Bapak Santo Solim. Vice Chairman of Digital Finance Development Department, Kadin, Bapak Budi Ganda Subrata, who acts as one of our distinguished speakers today. Perbanas Organization Committee Representative, Bapak John Kosasi. And Vice Secretary General 1 AFTEC, Bapak Diki Wijaya. And please also allow me to greet our distinguished speakers for today. Bapak Timothy Utama, Head of Committee 1 Open Banking Indonesian Payment System Association ASPI and Director of Information Technology at Bank Mandiri Persero Tbk. Bapak Batara Stianturi, Chief Executive Officer Citibank Indonesia, Chairman of Indonesia Foreign Bank Association Perbina, and member of ASPI Board of Supervisor. Bapak Vince Iswara, Chief Executive Officer Dana. Bapak Leontinus Alpha Edison, Co-founder and Vice Chairman of Tokopedia. Ibu Dina Artarini, Chairwoman of Payment System Department, AFTEC, and Chief of Legal and Compliance, Dana Indonesia. Ibu Handayani, Secretary General ASPI and Director of Consumer Business BRI. Bapak Miguel Angel Soriano, Senior Operation Officer Upstream Financial Institutions Group Asia or FIG Asia. Ibu Henry Saparini, Member of Focus Group Sector 2 Policy Studies and Recommendations Indonesian Economists Association or ISEI. And of course, welcome to all our respected audience and thank you all for your presence. Ladies and gentlemen, the national digital economy and finance will continue to grow rapidly in 2022. E-commerce transactions in 2022 are also projected to increase, driven by ongoing shift in consumer preferences for online retail, as well as various innovations and promotions by the private sector and government and Bank Indonesia programs. Therefore, innovation must be strengthened in terms of synergy regarding the intended national economic policy, as well as to accelerate digitalization and inclusion of the national economy and finance through digitalization of the payment system. And ladies and gentlemen, to dig deeper into this, shortly we will begin our agenda by hearing the leader's insight that will be delivered by the Deputy Governor of Bank Indonesia. And so without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Ibu Aida S. Budiman.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Chair and members of Komisi 11, with here today we have Pak Andreas and Pak Marinus. fellow central banks, distinguished guests from government agencies, international organizations, financial and academic communities, distinguished speakers and moderators, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan, Salam. A very good morning to you all. Welcome to the third day of Festival Ekonomi Keuangan Digital Indonesia 2022, FEKDI. The festival that aims to enhance the digital economy and finance not only for Indonesia, but also to contribute to G20 effort Recover Together and Recover Stronger. We have witnessed on how the digitalization support us to endure the impact of COVID-19 pandemic and to serve the future of our economy. Hence today, we will be discussing the continuation impact of synergy and collaboration on achieving inclusive and sustainable economic activities. In fact, the third day is about appreciation to the industry. The partnership, the synergy and collaboration with industry has made possible what we achieved today, and even we want to do more to serve the people with the benefit of digitalization. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the road to achieve sustainable and inclusive economy. For that, please do join me to give big applause to all of you who opened the door of digitalization to the people. Thank you. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, there are 2 points that I would like to share with you today. First, to quickly touch on the benefit of digitalization. Second, to brief you on where we are today and way forward on digitalization. Let me begin with the first. What do we learn the past 2 years living with the COVID-19 pandemic? The digitalization is a game changer for economic recovery and paved the way to inclusive and sustainable economic growth. The pandemic has inevitably restricted the movement of people and hence also the economic activities. We could survive the condition by using digitalization for our economic transaction and activities. The pandemic has presented the momentum to adopt and accelerate digitalization. The number of digital payment transactions has been growing rapidly during the past 5 years, including electronic money, e-commerce, digital service by banking. The innovation has served the economy well and will continue to do so. And for Indonesia, the economy is steadily finding its way to the recover and grow. The economy grew in the first quarter 22 by 5% and is expected to reach 4.5 and to 5.3% in 2022. But what do really the numbers saying? It means that more and more people being served by the financial system. Digital services has enabled common people to get the benefit of faster, easier, affordable, secure, and reliable payment system. Or in Indonesia, we call it by popular name, Cemumuah. The youth, millennial and Z generation and women are increasingly familiar with financial services. We have listened about it during the yesterday event. Even the vulnerable part of society can use the services, for example, to get the government subsidy. In short, the digitalization has brought us to a level of services that give broad-based benefit, inclusive and affordable for everyone. The second part, where we are now. We are in the process to implement the Indonesia Payment System Blueprint 2025, BSPI 2025. The strategy is instrumental for the development of digital Indonesia. 3 key milestones have been achieved following BSPI 2025 inauguration in the late 2019. We know CRIS, QR Indonesian standard, has been adopted by 20.6 million users, with an additional 15 million new user targeted by the end 2022. But yesterday, Pak Santoso and Bu Fili has talked about it and said that going to be topping it up. Merchant acceptance has reached 19.2 million, almost 90% of which are micro and SMEs. We do hope that the whole 65 million MSMEs can be covered by CRIS. We also have BFAS for our real-time, never sleep, and affordable fast payment system. We already now have 50 banks as participants, with more to come. National Open API Payment Standard, SNAP, the newcomer, and will be soon implemented. This also will help to increase the competition and level of playing field for new market entrants, which then further promoting national payment integration. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, going forward, Bank Indonesia has unwavering commitment to accelerate the transformation to build the integrated digital economy and financial ecosystem with 3 strategies: in industry, in infrastructure, and in market. First, we're going to accelerate the consolidation of healthy, competitive, and innovative payment industry through regulatory reforms. The reform is to provide solid supervisory arrangement that support digital financial inclusion. Second, we continue to develop what we call 3I or 3 Is, interoperable, interconnected, and integrated payment system infrastructure. This will be to alleviate economic exclusion and to promote cemumuah. And of course, the third one, we're going to develop safe, efficient, and fair market practices. The structure of national payment industry will be oriented to accelerate financial inclusion and innovation. The new scheme will emphasize on the principle of balance to continue providing the industry incentives to invest and innovate while at the same time not adding the burden for consumers. We believe by implementing these 3 strategies harmoniously, the digitalization will be supportive for broader economic development and inclusive growth in order to make the utmost benefit for the economy and the people. Last but not least, implementing key actions necessary to advance financial inclusion requires strong commitment from all relevant stakeholders. This is important because the pre-necessary condition for financial inclusion is to digitalize the economy and finance. To do so, synergy and collaboration among authorities and industry is key in order to have inclusive payment services. Distinguished participants, this brings me to the end of my note. To conclude, there are 2 important lessons learned from digitalization. First, digitalization is for everyone. It has enabled us to have more inclusive and sustainable economic activities. The benefit is broad-based for everyone, for common people, even for the vulnerable society, and is able to reduce inequality. Second, synergy and collaboration between authorities and industry is key to reap the benefit of the digital economy and financial ecosystem. Again, this background, it is our pleasure today to have speakers from industry who are going to enlighten us on the 2 lessons in 2 casual talks. We will have panel first on discussing the acceleration of digital innovation through payment integration, and the second one will address digital payment initiative to support sustainable economy. Let me also extend appreciation to all participants who are attending today's session. To close, allow me to reiterate the conclusion of our leaders' talk on how we digitalize Indonesia. We do it with 3 points: get things together, get things stronger, and get things done. We hope God Almighty will bless and lighten our steps. I wish you have a pleasant and fruitful discussion. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Santi 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 Om.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Ibu Aida, for the insight, and please remain on stage, ma'am. Thank you so much for a photo session with the representative of our industries. And hence, we would like to kindly request the presence on stage the Chairman of Indonesia Payment System Association, ASPI, Bapak Santo Solim, Vice Chairman of Digital Finance Development Department, Kadin, Bapak Budi Ganda Subrata, Perbanas Organization Committee Representative Bapak John Kosasi and Vice Secretary General 1 Aftek Bapak Diki Wijaya to come up on stage and capture this moment together with Ibu Aida. All right, ladies and gentlemen, take your place on stage. All right, if you're ready, please give your warmest smile to capture this moment on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Say cheese. All right, thank you very much, Ibu Aida S. Budiman, Deputy Governor of Bank Indonesia, and our honored guests. You may return to your seats. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this moment truly reflects the great collaboration between Bank Indonesia and the 4 industry associations, which are ASPI, Aftek, Kadin, and Perbanas. And before we move on to our discussion, let's take a look at our short video about the rapid development of Indonesia's payment system digitalization.
Pandemi COVID-19 memberikan tekanan yang signifikan di berbagai sektor, termasuk sektor ekonomi. Namun di sisi lain, pandemi COVID-19 juga menjadi momentum percepatan transformasi digital. Digitalisasi telah menjadi faktor kunci dalam membantu negara-negara untuk bertahan di masa pandemi COVID-19, termasuk di Indonesia. Dengan jumlah penduduk yang mencapai 273 juta lebih yang didominasi oleh generasi milenial dan generasi Z, serta didukung oleh penggunaan mobile banking dan internet yang luas, Indonesia memiliki potensi digital yang sangat besar. Untuk menavigasi transformasi sistem pembayaran di era digital, Bank Indonesia telah menginisiasi Blueprint Sistem Pembayaran Indonesia yang bertujuan untuk menciptakan sistem pembayaran yang cepat, mudah, murah, aman, dan handal atau CEMU-MUA, serta membuka akses bagi populasi unbank dan UMKM pada ekonomi dan keuangan formal secara berkelanjutan. BSPI 2025 berkontribusi besar dalam menopang transformasi digital setelah solusi dari exit strategy dalam kondisi pandemi. Sebagai tulang punggung perekonomian, berbagai turunan BSPI 2025 memberikan solusi untuk pemulihan ekonomi nasional. Beberapa inisiatif utama telah berhasil diimplementasikan di bawah sinergi dan kolaborasi Bank Indonesia dengan para pelaku industri yang mendukung pemulihan ekonomi Indonesia, khususnya usaha mikro, kecil, dan menengah atau UMKM untuk meningkatkan ketahanan mereka di masa pandemi. Lebih dari 19 juta UMKM di Indonesia telah mengadopsi Quick Response Code Indonesia Standard atau QRIS sebagai solusi pembayaran digital. Fitur-fitur QRIS juga terus dikembangkan, termasuk QRIS tanpa tatap muka, QRIS Customer Presented Mode, dan QRIS Cross Border. Untuk memperkuat sistem pembayaran retail, BI Fast sebagai infrastruktur pembayaran real-time 24/7 yang modern dan efisien telah diluncurkan di tahun 2021. Standar Nasional Open API Pembayaran atau SNAP juga telah diluncurkan untuk meningkatkan interlink antar bank dan fintech. Selain itu, berbagai inovasi di sistem pembayaran maupun pendukung sistem pembayaran terus berkembang, seperti eKYC, fitur nirsentuh atau contactless, e-signatures yang diharapkan akan semakin memberikan banyak kemudahan dan kenyamanan bagi pengguna layanan. Bank Indonesia bersama Kemenko Perekonomian, ASPI, Aftek, Perbanas, dan Kadin mempersembahkan Festival Ekonomi Keuangan Digital Indonesia FEKDI 2022, sebuah dukungan, partisipasi, dan kolaborasi industri dalam upaya mengkomunikasikan inisiatif sistem pembayaran BI kepada industri dan masyarakat, serta mendorong keuangan dan ekonomi digital demi terwujudnya pemulihan ekonomi nasional yang terintegrasi dan masif dalam tema besar. Recover together, recover stronger.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we give a big round of applause for Bank Indonesia, ASPI, Aftek, Perbanas, and Kadin for the great collaboration. It's great to see various strategic initiatives that have been launched, such as KRIS and BI Fast, as shown in the video. I myself am as an avid user of KRIS, as it truly makes our lives a whole lot easier. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to try and know more about KRIS, BI Fast, and other digital payment initiatives, please come to our showcase area downstairs at the Mangapura room. And now we are going to enter our first casual talk for today, entitled Acceleration of Digital Innovation Through the Implementation of Payment Integration. Payment system in Indonesia has a major transformation driven by the development of information technology. The emergence of various innovations has changed the payment landscape, with more players involved in the ecosystem. The integration, interoperability, and interconnectivity are key principles that lead to wider adoption of digital payment solution. One strategic initiative to enhance the integration of payment system, which has just been implemented, is SNAP, which stands for National Standard Open API Payments. And each speaker in this session will deliver a key highlight as a response to collaboration and contribution from industry players, global trend, and best practices in implementing Open API to support the payment integration and key challenges in the development and implementation of SNAP. And this session will be moderated by a prominent business news anchor and a CEO of Betco.id. And so, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage our moderator, Ibu Kania Sutisnawinata. Good morning, Ibu Kania.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Take off my mask then, yeah?
Looking gorgeous as always. Are you ready for your session?
Yes, ready as ever. Thank you
All
so
right.
much for having
The stage is yours.
me. Okay. Thank you very much for that warm introduction. Hello, a very good morning to all of us. And of course, a sunny welcome to Bali. I'm sure you're all enjoying yourselves plenty. It is my pleasure to welcome you to today's casual talk on acceleration of digital innovation through the implementation of payment integration. And this event, as was mentioned earlier, also marks the third day of the Indonesia Digital Economy and Finance Festival 2022, which is being hosted by Bank Indonesia and Coordinating Minister for Economic Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia in collaboration with ASPI, Aftek, and Perbanas, and also Kadin. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kania Sutisnawinata, and it is an honor for me. It is such a wonderful opportunity for me to be here today to lead our discussion for today. And as was also mentioned earlier, today is a day of appreciation. Yeah, Ibu Aida. This session will bring about, of course, the industry perspective on acceleration of digital innovation of payment integration through the implementation of Indonesia National Open API Payment Standard, also called SNAP. And we have the most respectable industry players from the banking, from the fintech, and also e-commerce sector with us this morning to give us their unique insights, of course, and also to give us a better understanding from all angles, of course, on this very important topic. So without further ado, let's welcome our distinguished panelists to please come on stage so we can start our discussion. First and foremost, I'd like to invite Bapak Timothy Utama, Chairman of Committee 1, Open Banking Indonesian Payment System Association, or ASPI, and Director of Information Technology at Bank Mandiri Persero Terbuka. Please welcome. Hello, welcome. If you can please take your seat over here. And next, I'd like to invite Bapak Batara Sianturi, Chief Executive Officer, Citibank Indonesia, Chairman of Indonesia Foreign Bank Association, Perbina, and member of ASPI Board of Supervisor. Please welcome. Hello, welcome, sir. And we also have Bapak Vince Iswara, Chief Executive Officer, Dana. Please welcome. Hello and welcome. And last but not least, I'd like to invite Bapak Leontinus Alpha Edison, co-founder and vice chairman, Tokopedia. Hello. Thank you again for joining us. Such a pleasure to have you with us this morning, gentlemen. And of course, it is a great pleasure to have all of you relevant players right now are here with us on the stage. We are going to, all of us, that's myself, are not very familiar with the technical terms that we're going to be using throughout this discussion, but we are going to break it down for you so we can all have a better understanding about what's happening. But let's go back to 2019 when Bank Indonesia first launched the Indonesian payment system, Blueprint 2025. And from then on until today, we have seen successful implementation of key initiatives initiated from this blueprint, and this has been possible and was also highlighted over and over again only while collaborating and synergizing with industry players and marking the onset of the digital era, where this year the national digital economy and also finance is expected to continue its phenomenal growth. We are seeing a lot of positive growth in the market right now. We're also seeing another key initiative to further support this growth. A landmark move to promote integration, interconnection, interoperability in the payment system, the National Open API Payment Standard, or SNAP, in short, which has been just unveiled recently. And in the spirit of synergy and also collaboration, which has been the driving force from the start, the implementation of SNAP does not only promote innovation in the banking sector, but also provide a way to build interlinks between banks and fintech, otherwise not possible before, unheard of before. So from what I understand, the payment industry from all sides have been actively involved and engaged from the beginning with Bank Indonesia in establishing and also implementing SNAP from the start. And the relevant players are here with us today, so let's hear what they have to say. Of course, let's start with Pak Tim as the chairman of Committee 1, Open Bank Indonesian Payment System Association, ASPI. Pak Tim, take us through the journey. What has it been like? What has been some of the contributions made by the industry players and also collaboration efforts made possible by this? I'm sure it has not been easy to get everyone on board, because as we are seeing, we have industry players from across industries. So how did you do it? What was the balance, or what was the common ground that needed to be found in between all industries, or let's say first movers, as was mentioned also in the beginning by the presentation of Ibu Aida, 15 first movers. Pak Tim.
Thank you, Kania. Selamat pagi, Ibu. Bapak yang kami hormati. I think to answer that question, again, I have the honor and the privilege of being appointed as the chairman for committee number 1, which is SNAP. What I have, perhaps, from my perspective, what I would want to say first and foremost is when I first got appointed to doing that role, I had my doubts. I had my doubts only because of this. The target and the ambition was very, very aggressive. And at that time I was part of, still am, because of I sit in ASPI. And I was assigned to that job. And when I look at the blueprint, and in those days it was first launched, the BSPI 2025, and I was looking at that. This is very, very ambitious, right? Then I said, and I didn't have that much dealing before with a project of this national scale. So the first thing I would want to say is that we got to give a round of big applause. Our regulators are very progressive. So with this, I think we should congratulate
Yes,
Bank
we
Indonesia.
should indeed.
So
All
that's
right.
first and foremost. And then the second thing, then you said, are we going to make it happen? And I remember the very early days, together with our colleagues from ASPI, and then I sat down so many times with Bank Indonesia, especially under the leadership of Ibu Fili for this particular thing. And she said, you just have to work it out. And then the Cemumuah concept has always been there. And then I said, look, Bu Fili, I would do my best on behalf of the industry and lead this group, because what you got to see from SNAP is not only because it has the ambition, but you really got to think through that SNAP is really going to make a change. So we want to move our payment industry from where we were into the future.
Right.
So what I have to say is that then all it makes sense after that when we see the potential of Indonesia. So I will take this back to how big this market is. If you trust the Google Bain and Temasek study, the digital economy of Indonesia is almost 50% of the entire ASEAN. There are 10 countries in ASEAN. We are one single country.
Yeah.
We are half of it, right?
That's gigantic.
So that's enormous.
Yeah.
But then we said, if we're going to be that big, our infrastructure must change.
Right.
And that infrastructure cannot be just the central bank, but the entire industry. The participants of these payments, there are about 2,000 plus startups now. You count the number of fintechs, you count the number of banks, you count the number of players, they're enormous. So if we're going to reach 150 billion by 2025, we got to be ready.
Yeah.
So that is the premise that then I said, okay, I'll take this job and alhamdulillah kita katakan, di bulan Juni, the 15 movers completed all. So first and second thing I would say is, thank you industries.
And you made it happen.
The commitment that we give, saya bilang sama Bu Fili, kalau saya nggak sampai, tolong saya jangan dimarahin. Tapi kalau kita sampai, it's all because the work of the industry participants. So I thank you, all industry players, for making that happen.
To make Pak Tim's job easier as well, right?
Actually, they are the one who work hard, not me, right? So then let me move on to what this SNAP is all about. So if you just imagine today, if there are so many participants, there are so many players connecting to 100 banks, potentially you have 100 banks with different standards of APIs. So behind the banks, there are hundreds, if not thousands, people connecting. So the amount of standard without a standard becomes yang katanya pemborosan. Pemborosan is one thing because you got to develop over and over different type of API standards. But now with SNAP, there's only one. When it comes to payment in this republic, if you want to come to Indonesia, you want to participate in payments, there's only one standard called SNAP. So we've developed, about 81, but substandard there are more than 300 now, so that everybody that comes to Indonesia, they know exactly the standard that we have. So with that, I'm so convinced when it comes to this potential of the market. So we are already holding half of what ASEAN is all about. I think we're going to surpass even higher than that, right? So in terms of the number, then we're going to say, in ASEAN, we are the country. And I believe should be beyond ASEAN.
Okay.
And I'm such a big believer for the Indonesian market. And not because I'm Indonesian, but I'm just so proud to be part of this movement that we're going to say
Okay.
Indonesia is going to be up there in the world map, right? So
That's the spirit.
So with this snap, it's going to happen.
Right.
So I think with that, I just going to say my last comment is, with all so many different players, earlier I wear my hat as head of committee number 1, but sometimes I also wear my hat as Bank Mandiri.
Right.
All of us are competing. I've got all the big banks, all the other banks competing, but I gotta say with Snap, the new way of competing is one thing that I say, collaboration is the new way to compete. Let us collaborate through Snap. Thank you very much.
Very well for that. But come on, Pak Tim. I mean, we have not only banking, we also have fintech players in the working group. We have Pak Vince over there smiling. I'm going to ask him a couple of questions as well. But before we go to Pak Vince, but what are some of the concerns, Pak Tim, initially from all industry players that was involved in the beginning? And how did you strike that balance? And what are some of the critical issues, do you think, that can be highlighted for a successful implementation of SNAP in Indonesia?
Yeah, I think the first thing that we all surprised ourselves was the aggressive timeline that all of us thought it was going to be quite challenging. But then I think after we came up with the the technical standards as well as guidelines, people were able to follow. But what we have to say is that we convince people that our standard is global standard. So we benchmark. So from the security, so we got to say that all this SNAP is not just a burden. It is actually a way to improve our economy. So when that purpose is built with a great standard, with a good standard, global standard, including security, the next thing is to get the commitment from all the 15 first movers to really complete by the end of June, which we did. So from verifikasi, functionality test, then approval from the Bank Indonesia to pretty much certify that we have the standard. So with that, I think you can see again when people get together as an industry and with the commitment that we have, we were able to deliver on time with a great standard. So again, commitment, collaboration overcame all the challenges we had. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Moving on to Pak Batara, please a big round of applause. That was quite the initial statement that was given by Pak Tim. Moving on to Pak Batara, is chair of Perbina as well. You can perhaps highlight, the international perspective on the implementation of SNAP in Indonesia. I'm sure open API standard have been widely adopted in other countries as well. What are some of the best practices that you could perhaps share with us, and how does it compare with Indonesia before and after the implementation of SNAP here? Pak Batara.
Yes, thank you, Kanya, and good morning, everyone. I think before going to specific country example, I think we need to understand that principally for consumers and retails, there are only 5 things that they need: to pay, to save, to invest, to protect, insurance, and to borrow. So in retail banking, we need to solve these 5 functionalities. People need to pay, they need to save, they need to invest, they need to protect through insurance, and they need to borrow. Now the focus for Indonesia is payment, to pay, whether it is payment or collecting. And through SNAP, we have made the integration and we make the language the same. Pak Tim mentioned about collaboration. In the past, we used to have competition, that we moved to co-opetition. We have ATM Bersama, Lintas Arta, Alto. Then we moved to collaboration.
Right.
Now this is the age of collaboration, because the collaboration goes beyond banking. You have banking and fintech, banking and marketplace. Yeah. So you cannot have your own language. You have to open the system for everybody to participate one language, to standardize and to facilitate and to make innovation very fast. So when I said that those are 5 things that we need to do, whether it is to pay, to save, to invest, to protect, and to lend or to borrow, one, Indonesia prioritized payment.
Yeah.
Number 1. So payment is very important. We've seen on the opening presentation that QRIS, for example, already have like close to 20 million. On the merchant side, 20 million. UMKM is about 70 million. So we still have a way to go.
Yeah.
But payment very important, making sure that facilitating payment, whether it is banks, marketplace, fintech, and other players. So another country that can be taken into comparison is Hong Kong. Now, Hong Kong takes a different approach because in Indonesia, the unbanked population is still high.
Yeah.
Hong Kong is a city country. You know, the banking penetration is very high, so payment is not a priority as number 1. So their SNAP or their equivalent of SNAP prioritize 4 things. Number 1 is product information. Number 2 is client or customer acquisition. Number 3 is also customer information. The last one is payment. So that's why I think we cannot generalize because Indonesia is huge country. Pati mentioned about the Google Temasek research that we are the biggest in ASEAN. We have the most fintech players and great opportunities. But Hong Kong is a fully banked population, so they said, okay, payment can wait. So the process is the same. As I said, you need to do 5 things as a customer, and Hong Kong prioritize product information to make sure that all products, you know, can be sourced and can be checked throughout the population with one standard to explain what is a mutual fund, what is a time deposit. Second thing is when you do a client acquisition, customer acquisition, one standard. How to acquire, you know, a personal loan, how to acquire credit cards. Third one then becomes customer integration, you know, customer information, including the credit bureau standard. You know, if you are in the US, you know, they said, okay, your credit score is 800. Okay, your credit score is 550. It's very standardized on the consumer information. And the last one is payment. So I think whether it is Indonesia or Hong Kong, you know, it has to be, the principle is the same. You need to do more. But for Indonesia, I think the priority is payment. We are a big country. We are an archipelago of 17,000 islands. We have more waters. We have 3 time zones.
Right.
And I think this presents a different problem or opportunities compared to a city country like Hong Kong or Singapore.
Okay. So moving in early for the implementation of SNAP for these 15 key players right now, what are some of the advantages do you think that can be gained by this?
If you look at the Indonesia landscape, you know, banks, I'm talking from the banking perspective, banks are
I mean, besides the fact that, you know, banking and fintech and also e-commerce, we have like, you know, players from across industries partaking in the implementation of SNAP. So.
Yes. So, you know, whether banking, you know, expanding their banking, the digital capabilities, then they have banking with a, you know, a unit standalone, you know, like Living Mandiri, and then or a standalone digital bank. Then you have the peer-to-peer lending. Then you have the wallets, and Pak Vincent will talk about that.
Yeah.
But with this SNAP, all these 5 come together, you know, one standard. So that because if we leave this unchecked, then the proliferation and also the de-standardization will really inhibit the innovation. But now we're going to say whether you are enhancing your banking, you're going to have a standalone digital bank, you have a unit called Living Mandiri, you know, or DG Bank or DBS, you know, and same thing with peer-to-peer, and then also with wallet. One standard, you talk, you collaborate beyond banking. So this is where wadahnya, making it standardized so that the innovation will be faster and it'll be cheaper, and it will achieve the innovation that we want to do for Indonesia.
Yeah, and the customers will benefit as well.
Eventually.
Eventually.
Eventually, customer will benefit, and you'll see a lowering of cost. You've seen the BI Fast, for example,
Right.
dari 6.500 menjadi 2.500.
Right, right.
We hope that will go down to 500 or 100, you know, so that UMKM will do that, you know. So
Our team is like laughing by that.
exactly.
You love it, right?
I think it's the same thing. We used to have a credit card 45%, ke 35,
Right.
ke 29, ke 20. It will come. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of when.
Yeah, yeah.
Itu saja.
Yeah. Oh, that's really great. Thank you so much for that, Pak Batara. Let's move on. Yes, a big round of applause, please. And moving on to Pak Vince. Hello, welcome. Who is also from Dana. Dana is a leading fintech player in the country, which I'm guessing has perhaps a different perspective from the banking sectors. The one we've been hearing from Pak Tim and also Pak Batara. And also you're a first mover from the fintech sector in Indonesia in the implementation of SNAP. So tell us, what made you do it? What are some of the challenges and problems that was faced by Dana before the implementation of SNAP, and how has it changed after the implementation of SNAP? Pak Vince.
Thank you, Kanya. I will gladly answer that. And I want to say good morning to everyone here. Very honored to be here. Very excited because this is such a privilege to be able to talk actually.
And it's good to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah, with the distinguished gentlemen and ladies and peers. This is such an amazing opportunity, right? Indonesia is, I'm so proud in here to say that there is never been, haven't been for so long that a regulator that is very inclusive, not just in the word, but in action as well. Like when I said about inclusivity, if even all the actions that we do together to create this standard, for example, and the roadmap to the blueprint 2025, everyone in the industry is participating. So that is such an amazing, feeling, such an amazing, for us to be together to do this. Because for us, this is an important, right? I mean, this is
But it could be scary at first, right? Opening up like that. I mean,
well,
adopting a common language, sharing information and all that?
Well, that's the thing, right? It's not about, for us in the industry, the number one problem for the longest time when we started, I mean, Leon and me, we've been actually around for quite a while, right?
Right.
Before I'm in Dana, I have another startup company that does payment as well since 2008. You know, when we wanted to do integration at the time, it took almost half a year to a year to connect to just one bank. Imagine that. So imagine at the time, it took so long to integrate. Why? Because everyone have a different standard.
Right.
And sometimes the standard can be very, let's say, archaic, and we in a startup tends to be trying to use the latest technology.
Yeah.
So we have to translate them down, for example, to just integrate to an existing bank. So I don't know if all of you here in the room remember ISO 8583, or those are very technical terms. So we all have to try to connect to that, and then different banks have a different system again. Sometimes it's an API, sometimes it's not even an API, it's HTML, PHP. There's so many things, right?
Yeah.
And it's get very confusing, and it gets very slow. So imagine this, like for example, in Indonesia, if everyone in the whole country is speaking our own ethnic language and not having Bahasa Indonesia, that will be a very chaotic environment where everybody is just basically doesn't understand each other, right?
True, true.
So this standard is actually helping us. So because of SNAP, which stands for, right, National Standard for Open API Payment.
Okay. So, but how was it like for you in the beginning? How was Dana involved during the establishment and also in the implementation process of SNAP? I mean, we're hearing that it was you were engaged since the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Well,
Tell
that's
us
the
the
thing,
story.
right? So that's the pain point that we're facing, the different standardization for all across the financial institutions. So for us, we want to get involved very early on because we truly
So you wanted to
believe-
do this?
We wanted to, because we truly believe if everyone is speaking the same language, then our collaborations, our integration can be done even faster. So, for example, right now, there are 15 participants, right,
Yeah.
in this app. The next batch will be 200.
Right.
So we are waiting and looking forward to be able to connect to that 200 immediately, which will take last time, like I mentioned to you, like half a year to a year just to connect to one. Now we can connect to all the 200 within a year, for example. Why? Because they're all the same language.
Yeah.
Imagine this. Almost half of our team last time is just spent on integration. Half of our team. We have now about like 500 engineers. And it's such a very intensive work to do that. So now with Snap, we can lower down the team because we don't have too many integration. Most of the work that's going to be done is actually testing, because both sides is already following the same standard, right? Both sides already speaking the same language. So now we're just making sure that the integration is well done. So that's one, it's saving on the resources. Two, it's also maintaining it, not just the integration. Because if you have different languages, every time you want to maintain it, and if there is an upgrade, if there's a change of system, then you have to redo it again. Then you have to have a team dedicated for it. So now, because our resources is going to be less, we can spend more of our resources actually trying to bring more innovation.
Right, okay.
As an industry players, I think this is such an important milestone. And really, Pak Tim leadership is really helping us to actually achieve this.
Okay, Pak Tim, kudos. Very well then. Moving on, I'm going to ask you some more questions, but moving on to a representative of the e-commerce sector in Indonesia, one of the major players, if I may add, Tokopedia, Pak Leontinus is here, or Tokopedia ya, in Bahasa, Tokopedia. Pak Leontinus is here. Thank you so much. You're also a first mover from the e-commerce sector. I'll have the same question for you as well as the one that I asked Pak Vince. What are the challenges and the problems that you guys were facing before and after the implementation of Snap? And how was it like for you in the beginning? Like, wow, we just have to like be on board for this. You saw the advantages of being there as a first mover. Tell us.
Wow, challenges, yeah. Problems. Actually, in the beginning, it's totally different. Yeah. I think not even APIs. Yeah. I believe that even the early days of payment partners, they don't even have APIs. And then not only they don't even have APIs, but some of them, they have different features. So like, we need to, a closed loop e-commerce transaction will be payment, and then there will be problems in between, but then there will be after. After it could be done without any problems, but then if there's a problem, there will be a partial refund, or there will be a full refund, or there will be installment and everything. Even some of the payment partners, they don't have all of that. Some of them only being able to pay, but then there's no after services, there's no refund. Then some of the partner has, and then we are the one who creating our own standard. We are the one who, aggregating everything. We are the one who making sure that the refund will happen, the partial refund will happen, and also not cost efficient and cost effective, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I think a lot of problems previously. I think that's where we are very happy. I think Bank Indonesia specifically, not only as a regulators, but they really have the innovation mindset, and then the future mindset. They look at the futures. So that's why we are really supportive. Like already mentioned by Vincent, Pak Batara, Pak Tim, all of the, a lot of easy, cost effective. We can integrate faster, and then more flexible. And there's no creating our own standard, aggregating our own. But this is like industry-wide, right? Everybody understand the same languages. So I think, that's the before,
Yeah, that was the before.
But then challenges, as usual, there are always challenges. So I think from our side,
particularly to you as an e-commerce player.
No, because 3 of our gentlemen here, they are from the payment industry.
Right.
We are not. Actually, we are the users.
You're the user.
Yeah, we are the users. So I think the first challenges is that we are heavily rely on them. So we are always ready to integrate, and then we heavily rely on them. But the good thing is that, as we can see, they also work very hard. They are accepting the ideas, and then they, a lot of offer communications, a lot of workshop, a lot of collaborations, meeting, and also the help from Bank of Indonesia, help from ASPI and everything. So I think that's our first challenge, see. So we rely heavily on them. And then the second one, financial, specifically payment is a huge industry. Right? So everybody has their own set of problems, their own set of standards. How can we sit together and then how can we align, agree on the futures of payment, how it will be for Indonesia. So I think these are also big challenges for us.
Yeah. As was also mentioned by Pak Batara, payment is only one aspect of SNAP, right? Okay, so moving on, let's go back to Pak Tim then. Moving forward. I mean, these are only 15 key players we're talking about. We're looking to expand more, right? More than hundreds are going to be included in this ecosystem, or maybe more. I don't know. Maybe you have the recent data. But as ASPI chair, how would you expect all the other industry players to partake in the establishment of SNAP, and how would you like to see it develop further and also maybe accelerate it? I mean, we're seeing a lot of advantages by the implementation of SNAP. How do you accelerate the process? Can it be done?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So first, we got to make sure that the industry sees this as something that is resolving pain points. And what is the pain point? The pain point is instead of having different standards, where kalau kita bahasa Indonesia bilang kalau sekarang nyolok gitu kan?
Nyolok, ya.
Dicolok. Kita nyoloknya 100 kali, build 100 times over, sama nyoloknya sekali dengan satu standard is a very different concept. Jadi, first and foremost, ngerti dulu. Kenapa ini perlu? Jadi they don't see it as a burden. Kalau enggak nanti dipikir ala ini nyusahin gua, ya kan? Bikin standar baru karena saya udah punya katanya.
Right. Why do I have to develop,
Once you solve, they understand. I think this is enough.
Maybe you can use mine. Or.
All right, I'll use this. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Vince. Dana always helpful. So come to that point again. Jadi purpose-nya udah jelas. Then they will do it because they understand the value. Second bit, I think people gotta now realize mustinya you take ownership. Jadi saya merasa bahwa in the industry now they gotta take ownership the same way the 15 have taken ownership. Dan bisa dibuktikan when we collaborate as industry. Karena di industrinya cukup besar. We help each other.
Yep.
There's a forum, there's a WhatsApp group, there's a working committee. Because behind the scene, they talk to each other. They ask, oh, this is my challenge, this is your challenge, how do we solve this? So when that collaboration happens, kita bisa buktikan, udah sampai hari ini. The 15 had a very aggressive target, we delivered. Now beyond that is going to be 200, right? The next phase. Jadi saya rasa nanti salah satunya yang penting adalah the 15 yang sudah ambil leadership position. Karena tadi kita adalah, katakanlah kayak Pak Leontinus mengatakan bahwa there's certain dependency on the banks.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure that the partners that I have behind me, I have to take a role sekarang. Saya akan bilang sekarang I'm wearing my hat as Mandiri. Saya akan bilang sama teman-teman saya di Mandiri, please, make sure you help the people that are in our value chain, that are in our ecosystem, untuk kita ambil peranan. Bukan hanya saya bilang, oh ini saya serahin ASPI gitu kan.
Yeah.
Nanti kalau ASPI kan serahinnya ke saya sama Pak Santoso gitu kan. Saya bilang kalau gitu saya bilang saya Pak Santoso aja jangan saya. Tapi kan saya ketuanya.
Right.
So then we gotta take that role bahwa Mandiri juga punya
So you have to
peranan.
take ownership.
So Mandiri will have to help the ekosistem yang ada di dalam itu ada ratusan juga.
Yeah.
The same thing with all the other banks.
Right.
So in my view, if we do that and understand that concept, bukan semua diserahin ke Bank Indonesia di ASPI aja, tapi we in industry take that ownership, saya yakin 200 will be very fast. And then beyond 200 saya nanti ada lagi ribuan.
Right.
Because everybody and anybody in Indonesia yang mau nyolok ke payment system harus mempunyai standar ini. Dan nanti yang saya katakan lagi, saya rasa nanti bukan cuma itu. The world will see how big Indonesia is and how efficient we are. And e-commerce kita mungkin udah pasti kita nomor 1. Tapi again, my dream is sebagai orang Indonesia yang mempunyai berpartisipasi di sini supaya e-commerce kita bukan cuma 150 billion, Bo. E-commerce kita 250 billion dong, karena partisipasi industri luar biasa.
Right.
Yang terjadi, and I really believe we can do that.
You believe you can do that. A big round of applause for that. Also to Pak Batara, I think there's the same question. I think, do you agree with what Pak Tim is saying? You have to take ownership, you have to partake, and you have to contribute as well in expanding the implementation of SNAP in Indonesia.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Whether it is regulator, market player, or customer, I think ujung-ujungnya, I'll just leave with this message. Whatever we do in QRIS, in SNAP, in BI Fast, it has to be better, it has to be faster, and it has to be cheaper. 3 itu aja.
Yeah.
We are better because there's no more, we don't need now billiard, giro, check, and other payments. Faster 24/7, including weekends. Fantastic.
Right.
Itu luar biasa, very fast. Saya coba waktu itu kemarin di US mau transfer dari Citibank ke JP Morgan, I have to set up an hour of the payee because this is the US.
That's not acceptable.
They don't want to talk to each other.
Right,
They want to put walls between banks, right? So it has to be better, faster, and cheaper. Ya, mungkin kadang-kadang ya ini mungkin untuk dipikirkan. Why we can go cheaper? Why we can go down from umpamanya all the QRIS, BI Fast? Because the volume will be so big. Ya, waktu kita di universitas kan dibilang sebetulnya itu kan price kali volume, which is the velocity. The velocity of payment. Jadi sekarang one day if we can have very low price for BI Fast.
Yeah.
The volume of UMKM 80 million, the velocity will be so fast that actually everybody will be compensated.
Yeah.
So let's make the tent very big and let's invite everybody into the tent. 261 atau 270 juta customer.
Right.
Potential.
Yeah.
Ya, mau generation yang namanya baby boomers seperti saya dan Pak Tim, X, Y,
Millennials
Z.
and Gen Z.
Let's welcome to the tent
Right.
and make it better, faster, and cheaper. Itu aja.
Very well. Thank you for that statement. Cheaper. I like that. To Pak Vince then, as a fintech player, you've talked about some of the advantages that you have gained, the benefits that you have gained. Then what does it take for you to also contribute in expanding the implementation of SNAP as a fintech player? I mean, you have a lot of parties to be, to get involved in the implementation of SNAP as well. So how would you like to contribute in that aspect?
I think the key is being one of the first mover to adopt, right? I think it's also indicating to the industry that, hey guys, we're adopting this. So now, if you want to work together with us, it's very easy, very simple. I'm open now. So anyone can work with me, and this is the standard. No need to think an extra, because once you connect with me, you can connect to everyone else with the same one. So being an first adopter and accepting it, in a way, it's already opening the path for everyone else to understand, hey, you don't need to worry anymore. The next step, the next integrations, everyone else coming in, and the 16 players, new players, everybody who wants to be in industry now understand there is only one standard. So I truly hope this will accelerate the inclusion. Chris, the QRI standard, has indicated, right, that the moment everyone adopt Chris, then you can see there are more than 19.5, almost 20 million of merchants all over Indonesia inclusive. It took 40 years for the card industry to penetrate about 7 million. And it took Chris 2 years to achieve almost 20 million.
Right.
So with this
That's
snap,
crazy. Yeah.
I hope, like Pak Batara mentioned, like Pak Tim also mentioned, 270 million of Indonesian populations
That's
will
a snap,
be
right?
inclusive
Yeah.
soon.
Soon, yeah? That's a promise. Okay. What about you, Pak Leontinus? What are the lessons learned, do you think? And how would you like to contribute in expanding the implementation of SNAP as an e-commerce player?
Yeah, actually, Pak Batar already mentioned that the 5 key functions of financials. Right? So pay is the first thing. So saving, invest, and then protect, and then lend or borrow, right? So I think actually in Tokopedia, and then we are now part of GoTo, right? The big GoTo ecosystem. Actually, we have all. So we really expect that, okay, payment is done, and then we are first mover, and then we are willing to sit together and then share with the rest of the 200 second mover.
Yep.
But again, we always ready to discuss, to commit, to contribute on the other 4, since we have all. Like we have our merchant lendings, we have our consumer lendings, and then we also have insurance, and then investment. Yeah, when our merchants started to making a good transaction, a good sales and earnings within Tokopedia, they start to think about wealth creation. So saving and investment is already happened in Tokopedia and within the GoTo ecosystem. Right? So we are really have a commitment. We're willing to sit together with Bank of Indonesia, with ASPI, and then with all the partners. So I believe that we can do the 4 other functions of financials.
Yeah, and any timeline on that?
As usual, we want as soon as possible because we already having all of the functions.
Yeah.
It will be great if we can have another standard which is cost-effective, efficient, easy, seamless, and everything. So the second part, I'm really willing us, not only Tokopedia but all of us, to move forward together is we are looking at the technology but on the user side. So I think all of this SNAP is not on the user side, right? It is on the company side, server side. But I think with the concept of distributed, because of blockchain, not necessarily blockchain, but the concept of distributed, I think have a bright futures. So we really need to look at how can we helping our users distribute it, and then they also have their own responsibility. We will also help them securing their data, securing their PII. So the end user part are very important, right?
Yeah.
I think big companies in the world already try to do that.
Yeah.
Saving a lot of user data in their own mobile wallet, in their own hardware token and everything, with all the advanced cryptography. I think also Bank of Indonesia also started to explore about CBDC. So I think that's one of the next thing that I'm willing to look at in the future.
Yeah. A big round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we're seeing a lot of innovation. We're seeing a lot of commitment here. As I would like to get a closing remark, perhaps. I know that this is going to come in stages, right? I mean, we're seeing a lot more development, and we are reaping more benefit, and we're gaining more out of this, of course. We haven't really talked about, security and data protection and all that, which is also some of the key issues that is being discussed right now in terms of the the implementation of SNAP. I mean, these are some of the issues that can be handled as well by this. But I want you to take us through the stages, Pak Tim, as chair right now. How do you see the development of the usage of SNAP, like moving forward? What are some of the things that is going to transform and how it could benefit the industry as a whole? Also as a closing statement, Pak Tim.
Yeah, I think from a SNAP, I suppose by now we have seen what it has given us as all the players in the industry. So with the standard that we have comes innovation. So I truly believe in the payment world, the innovation is going to come because we have a standard where the resources now can be allocated a lot more because the adoption is going to be faster. So that's one. The second bit that I see is this is really going to push the digital economy forward, and SNAP will be a key component in this. So that's really going to be driving Indonesia economy. At the end of the day, it's going to be for the betterment of all the players inside. And last, I think as my closing remark, this is the time that let us just do it. I'm not saying it's a Nike promotion, but let's do it. That's it. This is the time. We have proven. We have do it, and let's collaborate in the new way to compete. So for Indonesia.
For Indonesia, very well. Big round of applause for that. Pak Batara, any closing remarks that would like to share with us? What's your message for today?
Yeah, I think I'm very, very, very positive on this, the implementation. The best formula is regulator mandated and the market participant has a deadline. That will make it, jadi we start with the end in mind, when will we achieve 100% completion?
Yeah.
Then we do the steps, and hopefully we can beat the deadline. And this is the time, we are in the recovery mode on the national economy.
Yeah.
We need to digitize this and recover faster, recover better.
Yeah.
And I think digital is the way to go, and SNAP will facilitate that.
Very well. Thank you for that, Pak Batara. Pak Vince?
Just quickly, with this one language now, I do hope that the interconnections, interoperability with everyone is happening. So soon, hopefully, the price will go down for everyone, right? That's good for the industry. And because the price will go down, all of us can spend our money somewhere else and hopefully to innovate for the better Indonesia.
Yeah, very well. Thank you for that. Pak Leontinus?
Yeah, for me, I think we have planned a lot. Yeah, not Tokopedia, but all of us here. So for me, enough planning, and I think we just need to start executing. So enough planning, start executing. I think this is the end of era where we are always, previously we always have a general understanding that government and regulators are always lag behind. They are not up to date with all the technologies, but I think that's in the past. So we witnessed that the leadership of Bank of Indonesia especially, they're really forward thinking, forward looking, and then taking technology as a main drivers of banks and of financials and everything. So yeah, I'm just very happy with it. For me, enough planning, just let's doing it, let's executing.
Okay, very well. Thank you for that. Those are very powerful messages. Let's do it. And as Pak Tim said, collaboration is a way to compete and moving forward. I think that's the key highlight and key takeaways that we can take from this discussion. Please, a big round of applause for our wonderful panelists. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. We have Bapak Timothy Utama, Chairman of Committee 1, Open Bank Indonesian Payment System Association, and also Director of Information Technology at Bank Mandiri Persero Terbuka. Pak Batara Sianturi, Chief Executive Officer, Citibank Indonesia, Chairman of Indonesia Foreign Bank Association, Perbina, and member of ASPI, Board of Supervisor, Bapak Vince Iswara, Chief Executive Officer, Dana, and last but not least, Bapak Leontinus Alpha Edison, Co-founder and Vice Chairman, Tokopedia. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for sharing your views with us. Maybe just add on a few other takeaways from our discussion, as was also discussed previously and also presented by our panelists. The implementation of an open API national standard had provided a successful integration, interconnection, interoperability between API providers, improved interlink between banking and also fintech, reduce fragmentation between players in the payment system industry, and thus, in the end, help create a more healthy, competitive, and also innovative payment system industry. Snap has also brought advantages to the customer side by creating a better customer experience, perhaps, and with more options to pay, whether it'll be through banks or fintechs, better customer protection with data and security standards, as was also mentioned, and last but not least, creating a payment system that is more efficient, safe, and reliable to the customer. Very well. And with that, I will wrap up this session. Thank you so much again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. It's been wonderful to have you here with us, and we hope that this session have gained us more knowledge and more understanding on payment integration to accelerate digital innovation through the implementation of Snap. Thank you again for joining us, and have a blessed day. Enjoy your stay in Bali. I'm Kania Sutisnawinata, and I will hand over to our gorgeous MC, Dazen.
Thank you, Mbak Kania. Ladies and gentlemen, can we give a big round of applause to our moderator, Ibu Kania Sutisnawinata, for the very insightful session. Please stay on your seats, ladies and gentlemen, to capture this moment together. All right, on the count of 3, smile to the camera, give your warmest smile. 1, 2, 3. One more time, say cheese. Give that beautiful smile. 1, 2, 3. All right, once again, thank you very much, Ibu Kania, and also thank you to our inspiring speakers, Bapak Timothy Utama, Bapak Batara Sianturi, Bapak Vince Iswara, and Bapak Leontinus Alpha Edison. You may return to your seats. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, careful. Okay, once again, can we give a big round of applause for this very inspiring session to our moderators and, of course, very inspiring speakers. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we continue with the next session, let's spark up the room with a Kahoot quiz with questions regarding our first session, and I'm sure it's going to be a piece of cake for all of you who paid attention to our previous discussion. And before we start, allow me to explain this quiz. Some of you might already be familiar with Kahoot quiz. It's very easy to join this quiz. You can just scan the QR code displayed on screen. All right, we will display the QR code on screen. And we invite all of you, our online and offline participants, to just scan the QR code. Oops, that's it, on the screen. Or you can always just go to kahoot.it on your browser and input the game pin. It is 375997. And let me explain to you the rules of this quiz. So there will be several questions.
Behold, the beauty that is Indonesia, Mother Nature's gift of serene and colorful landscapes, where diversity makes us one, united towards a common goal, where resiliency is achieved together. A strong infrastructure governance arising, where investments are waiting to flourish, and where creativity is inspired by tradition. Indonesia, where beautiful possibilities are offered.
Indonesia, a land of breathtaking nature and rich culture. There are many things Indonesians are proud of. One-of-a-kind photogenic spots spread all over the nation, unique wildlife, magnificent cultural heritage, and the most recent one, the G20 presidency. Indonesia is proud to hold the 2022 G20 presidency. As a multilateral forum connecting the world's major economies, the G20 holds a strategic role in securing global economic growth and stability. Together, the G20 members represent more than 80% of world GDP, 75% of international trade, and 60% of the world population. And 2022 is the year that Indonesia plays a major role in leading the G20 discussions on various global issues. Not an easy task amid a global pandemic that still continues after more than 2 years. Holding the presidency in this unique moment where countries are struggling to bounce back from COVID-19, Indonesia introduces Recover Together, Recover Stronger as the main theme of its presidency. As a step toward an even, sustainable recovery, 6 priority agendas are introduced in the finance track. Exit strategy to support recovery, addressing scarring effect to secure future growth, payment systems in the digital era, sustainable finance, digital financial inclusion, and international taxation. Through these agendas, the Indonesian presidency aims to engage all G20 members and invitees in discussions and deliberations that goes beyond just the interest of advanced economies. Considerations also need to be put for other countries that may still be struggling to manage the pandemic. Because coming out of the pandemic, no one should be left behind. Recover together, recover stronger.
Behold, the beauty that is Indonesia. Mother Nature's gift of serene and colorful landscapes. Where diversity makes us one, united towards a common goal. Where resiliency is achieved together. A strong infrastructure governance arising, where investments are waiting to flourish, and where creativity is inspired by tradition. Indonesia, where beautiful possibilities are offered.
Indonesia, a land of breathtaking nature and rich culture. There are many things Indonesians are proud of. One-of-a-kind photogenic spots spread all over the nation, unique wildlife, magnificent cultural heritage, and the most recent one, the G20 presidency. Indonesia is proud to hold the 2022 G20 presidency. As a multilateral forum connecting the world's major economies, the G20 holds a strategic role in securing global economic growth and stability. Together, the G20 members represent more than 80% of world GDP, 75% of international trade, and 60% of the world population. And 2022 is the year that Indonesia plays a major role in leading the G20 discussions on various global issues. Not an easy task amid a global pandemic that still continues after more than 2 years. Holding the presidency in this unique moment where countries are struggling to bounce back from COVID-19, Indonesia introduces Recover Together, Recover Stronger as the main theme of its presidency. As a step toward an even, sustainable recovery, 6 priority agendas are introduced in the finance track. Exit strategy to support recovery, addressing scarring effect to secure future growth, payment systems in the digital era, sustainable finance, digital financial inclusion, and international taxation. Through these agendas, the Indonesian presidency aims to engage all G20 members and invitees in discussions and deliberations that goes beyond just the interest of advanced economies. Considerations also need to be put for other countries that may still be struggling to manage the pandemic. Because coming out of the pandemic, no one should be left behind. recover together, recover stronger.